Does it feel cruel tonight?
Yeah, we were close, but yeah, at the end we could not reach it.
It's about moments. It's about being solid, very solid. Real Madrid, for example, in this sense, they were 2-0 down. I saw their faces. I was like, these guys are not worried. And I was saying to the lads, guys, you see in their faces, like they're not kind of, they okay, we will overcome this situation, don't worry.
90 minutes had passed, and the Bernabéu was silent. Manchester City were in control. The final was within their grasp, and Pep Guardiola stood on the touchline smiling. Madrid looked beaten. And then something happened. A spark, a twist, a moment nobody inside that stadium could have imagined. In the blink of an eye, silence turned to chaos. The roar of the Bernabéu shook the night. History bent in front of our eyes, and a 21-year-old Brazilian stepped into football folklore.
Rodrygo! Oh, extraordinary!
This is the night Rodrygo turned despair into delirium. This is the night Manchester City were broken. This is the night that may stand as the greatest comeback in football history. Real Madrid versus Manchester City has quietly become the modern Champions League Clásico. In the last decade, no other fixture has carried this much weight.
They can't keep away from Real Madrid at Manchester City. It's written in the stars. They will keep meeting. It's the third consecutive season in the Champions League they've played them.
Madrid, kings of Europe, owners of 13 titles at the time. City, the new power with endless resources, the genius of Guardiola, and a hunger to finally be crowned champions. Their story together began in 2020. City eliminated Madrid in the round of 16, winning both home and away. It was a statement. The old kings could bleed, and Madrid never forgot. Because for Real Madrid, the Champions League is not just another competition. It is their kingdom, their bloodline, their identity. To beat them here is to challenge everything the club stands for. And if there is one thing Madrid never allow, it's for anyone to walk into their house and steal their crown. But this City side were different. Guardiola's machine was built to perfection, fluid, relentless, suffocating. In 2021, they finally reached their first Champions League final. By 2022, they were ready to go one step further, even if it meant crushing the most successful club in the competition's history. This was not just another tie. This was history against ambition, tradition against revolution, legacy against destiny, and with a place in the Champions League final at stake, the stage was set for fireworks. The first game would be played in Manchester, and from the very first whistle, it felt like a storm was coming. Watching this game live on my mobile device, I knew it was about to experience history. And just in case you're wondering how I'm able to watch so many games from different leagues and competitions on my phone, the answer is simple: Surfshark. Surfshark is my go-to VPN. Not only does it keep my browsing fast and secure, but it also lets me unlock region restrictions, which means I can stream matches and shows from anywhere in the world. Honestly, it's like carrying every sports channel in my pocket. And here's something else I love. With just one Surfshark account, I can use it on unlimited devices. My phone, laptop, even my smart TV at home. Plus, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it completely risk-free. For football fanatics, there's another huge perk. Surfshark can even help you get cheaper flights and hotel deals when you're traveling to watch your team play away, simply by changing your virtual location. So here's the deal for everyone watching. If you go to surfshark.com/9 or use my code number 9 at checkout, you'll get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Yes, 4 extra months just like that. What are you waiting for? Get on the Surfshark wave and start streaming like a pro. Now, back to the Etihad. With the backing of the home crowd, City looked the more motivated team at the beginning of the game, and that led to an amazing start for them. Riyad Mahrez received the ball from the right wing in the 2nd minute, slalomed into the middle, and put in a brilliant cross for Kevin De Bruyne, who headed the ball past his international teammate Thibaut Courtois in the opposition goal. With just about 90 seconds of football played, City were already ahead. Not long after, De Bruyne turned provider, sending a cross into the Madrid box for Gabriel Jesus, who turned and put the ball past Courtois to double City's lead in the opening 10 minutes. The home crowd could not have asked for a better start to the game. They were really humbling the European giants. But the giants are giants for a reason. They were always going to strike. It took them some time, but they did strike. In the 33rd minute, Ferland Mendy sent in a cross from the left side of midfield and found Benzema in the box. The Real Madrid captain, despite being marked by Zinchenko, managed to squeeze the ball past Ederson. 2-1. Game on. City took that slight advantage into halftime, but it was obvious they weren't satisfied with that. They wanted a lot more out of the game, so they decided to go for it in the second half. And well, they started the second period just as well as they had started the first. Just 7 minutes into the second half, Fernandinho sent in a cross from the right wing into the Real Madrid box, and Foden, who found himself in a world of space, headed the ball past Courtois to give City their 2-goal lead once again. But just a couple minutes after that, Fernandinho, who was the hero for that assist, quickly turned into a villain. Vini turned him and left him in the dust just around the halfway line. The Brazilian then ran half the length of the pitch and put the ball past Ederson and into the back of the City net. Once again, City's 2-goal advantage had been halved. But if you thought that that was where it ended, then you haven't been paying attention to the theme of this game. In the 73rd minute, Zinchenko was brought down by Kroos just outside the Madrid 18-yard box. And while he and the fans were waiting for a free kick from the referee, Bernardo Silva just retrieved the ball, took a couple steps, and bam! He sent a thunderous shot straight past Courtois. The City fans were instantly grateful that the referee played the advantage instead of awarding that free kick. It was a really brilliant goal, and Manchester City had just taken a 2-goal lead for the 3rd time in the game. What the hell was this game? But Madrid still didn't give up. In the 81st minute, they won a free kick which Toni Kroos took, but his cross into the box hit Laporte's flailing arm. The referee immediately awarded a penalty to Real Madrid. Going into the second leg against Pep City with a 2-goal deficit was certainly going to be tough work, but a 1-goal deficit, yeah, they could work with that. So this was a really big penalty in the 82nd minute of the game. They weren't going to get any other chance that night, so whoever was taking it had to bury it. Now mind you, 6 days prior, Karim Benzema had missed 2 penalties in the same game against Osasuna. Was he going to step up once again to take this really huge kick? You bet he was. With the pressure turned up to the absolute max, the captain took responsibility, but he didn't take an ordinary penalty. Instead, he did the craziest thing ever.
Reduce the deficit again. Oh, what about that? He's Panenka it.
He went for a cheeky Panenka and made it look too easy. With that kick, he gave Real Madrid fans hope to take back with them to Spain. But if you thought the first leg was full of drama, then you were in for a real treat in the second. What we saw in Madrid topped whatever we saw in Manchester. Having had 7 goals in the first leg, fans were looking forward to another exciting festival of goals in the return leg, but it was more of a very cagey affair. Interesting end-to-end, but cagey nonetheless. City maintained the same setup while Real Madrid went for something different. Rodrygo was dropped to the bench and they switched to a 4-2-3-1 formation, with Valverde occupying the right wing spaces. As expected, Real Madrid started the game on the front foot. They knew they needed to score if they wanted to make it to the final, and they had the home crowd behind them, so they started to attack from the very beginning. Vini got a chance in the 18th minute, but he sent his shot way above the crossbar. 2 minutes later, Foden stole the ball from Militao and quickly sent a ball into the Madrid box. The clearance from Nacho fell to De Bruyne, who quickly played Bernardo Silva in. The Portuguese midfielder attempted a shot with his weak foot, but Courtois was up to it. In the 23rd minute, Silva was the one sending the cross into the box. Mahrez took a little touch with his head and the ball fell kindly for De Bruyne. He took 2 touches and nearly lost it, but Jesus was right there. He took a shot from just outside the box, but it only just missed the target. Man City kept knocking, they wanted to score and put the game to bed, and they came close in the 40th minute when Foden took a long-distance shot with his weak foot, which sent Courtois scrambling a little. Anyway, despite the effort from both teams, there was no goal in the first half, which meant that Manchester City still had the advantage with just 45 minutes left to play. They would even further extend that advantage soon, but at the start of the half, it was Real Madrid on the front foot. They came so close to scoring straight from the second half kickoff, but Vini was unable to find the back of the net. Well, seeing as nothing had happened, Carlo Ancelotti decided to play his joker in the 68th minute. He took off Toni Kroos and brought in Rodrygo, which meant that they returned to the traditional 4-3-3. That change right there changed the entire complexion of the game, and not to be dramatic, but it actually sort of changed the history of Real Madrid, but not immediately though. Los Blancos had to first suffer before they would triumph. And that suffering came pretty soon. In the 73rd minute, Bernardo Silva took the ball from midfield and ran down the heart of Madrid's defence. Then, on the edge of the box, he laid a clever pass to the right, and Riyad Mahrez came onto it and finished brilliantly with his first touch. Manchester City players and fans celebrated so wildly. It was like they knew the game was over now. To knock them out, Real Madrid would need to score 3 goals. And considering there was only 18 minutes of the 90 to play, they were sure that was not going to happen. So, with that confidence, Pep Guardiola made some changes to see out the game. He took off attackers like Riyad Mahrez and Gabriel Jesus and replaced them with Fernandinho, who's a defensive-minded player, and Jack Grealish, who's great at game management. With these changes, there was just no way they were conceding 3 in 18 minutes. But Real Madrid fans knew that they didn't need to score 3 in 18 minutes. They just needed 2. And if anyone could do it, it was them. In that same season, they had pulled off comebacks against PSG and Chelsea. They were just one more comeback away from another Champions League final. But this one was a lot tougher. The game went on, but a goal wasn't looking very likely for the home team. But in the 90th minute, something finally happened for them. By the 90th minute, City were already celebrating in their heads. They had the lead, Madrid looked beaten, and the Etihad heroes were seconds away from a second consecutive final. The Bernabéu was quiet, some fans had even started for the exits, and Guardiola stood on the touchline looking calm. Everything pointed to the end. And then, from nowhere, the game changed. Camavinga sent across to Benzema on the left, who only just managed to stop the ball from going out for a corner while simultaneously putting a cross into the box. With everyone else sleeping, Rodrygo just ghosted into space in the 6-yard box and poked the ball into the net beyond Ederson. Goal! The silence shattered, the stadium exploded. The impossible had a pulse, but nobody could have imagined what came next. Was it going to happen for Real Madrid tonight? All they needed was one more goal in additional time. But, on the other hand, all City needed to do was to hold the fort for 6 additional minutes, and they would be through to the final once again. Surely they could do that, right? Wrong! Just a minute later, Dani Carvajal sent a cross into the Manchester City box, and it was Rodrygo who was there once again. He rose highest, headed the ball into the net, and left Ederson rooted to the spot. And just like that, in 2 quick minutes, Real Madrid had wiped away Manchester City's advantage. Absolutely nobody saw this coming. The game was beyond Real Madrid. They looked dead and buried. Everyone counted them out. Some fans had even started to leave the stadium. But then, Rodrygo struck out of nowhere and sent the game to extra time. But the job wasn't done just yet. Thanks to those 2 late goals from Rodrygo, we were going to play 30 extra minutes. The scoreline was level on aggregate, but the mentalities going into extra time were very different. City felt defeated, downtrodden, devastated, destroyed. Madrid, on the other hand, were on an incredible high. They were very motivated and feeling on top of the world. And that disparity in the states of mind of both teams showed in the first 5 minutes of extra time. Real Madrid were on the attack, and in trying to stop them, Ruben Dias was a little sloppy and conceded a penalty. Manchester City fans were hoping for VAR to come to their rescue. They had been leading for almost the entire 180 minutes of this fixture. Surely they weren't going to lose it all just like that.
City fans are not impressed.
Well, it looked like they were. There was no reprieve for them from VAR. The penalty stood and Benzema stepped up. This time though, he didn't attempt anything cheeky. He picked his spot, sent Ederson the wrong way, and that was it. The game was decided in the first 5 minutes of extra time. This was the first time Real Madrid were taking the lead in the entire fixture, but it was the most important time as it was enough to send them to the UEFA Champions League final. Manchester City tried to get an equaliser and maybe tried to take the game to penalties. They came super close in additional time of the first half of extra time, but Fernandinho just wasn't able to get his foot to the ball from Foden's header. Well, they didn't get any better chances than that, and that was how things ended. 3-1 to Real Madrid on the night, 6-5 to them on aggregate. Rodrygo had come off the bench and delivered one of the greatest super sub performances we had seen in Champions League history. It sent Real Madrid to the final, and the story was complete when they went ahead to beat Liverpool to lift the trophy for the 14th time that year. So, really, is this the greatest comeback in football history? If you don't think it is, get in the comments and tell me which comeback you think tops this one. And well, speaking of comebacks, France nearly completed an incredible one in the biggest game in world football. That was the day Kylian Mbappé made an entire nation shiver. It's one of the greatest stories in modern football history. If you want to hear all about it, click on this.